Good afternoon, EFD squad, and welcome back to the European Roundup, where you pick our winners and losers from the weekend just past. Joining me, it's Doug, the man who's matched his socks to his jumper today. I want to see some appreciation for that in the comments below.
All thought out before.
How are you? How was your weekend?
Yeah, very good actually, very good. I was at my grandparents' house having an early Christmas, so we had a turkey.
Your Scottish grandparents?
No, they're from Yorkshire actually. So we had, big old turkey. Managed to get through most of it, so that was very good. How was yours?
Big old turkey. Mine was fine. I went to the Wembley Cup on Sunday. Very impressive.
Milad. Getting pushed out of the way of Cafu.
Scale, yes. FDFC's Milad was forced off a free kick by Cafu, which would be my Twitter bio for the rest of time. I think the F2 won. So
F2 won.
Less said about that, the better. Sevilla are our first winners, though, in real life football, and this comes from Samuel Hargis 121. Take it away, Duke.
Yes, well, it was a fantastic week for Sevilla. Not necessarily this game, which they only won 1-0 against Real Valladolid, but in terms of what it meant for the league. But we'll start with this game. So Andre Silva notched his 8th goal of the season, but it was actually his first in 2 months on the half-hour mark, which was the only goal of the game to give them that 1-0 win. It was actually quite an even game, and I was watching the highlights this morning. It was quite low on quality as well. Possession was pretty much split. Sevilla had 17 shots to Valladolid's 13, and both sides completed 79% of their passes, which is comparatively low. You'd expect both sides to be up in the mid-80s on that. The difference maker was Sevilla keeper Thomas Vaslik, who made 5 saves, including a double save late on, and an acrobatic save to deny Urez Unal right at the death as well.
One for the neutrals then when the goalkeeper's the standout performer.
Exactly.
Classic.
And otherwise it was a fairly quiet game, as I mentioned before. Sarabia, who I mentioned on Sunday Vibes for a possible player that Chelsea could buy, go check out that Sunday Vibes.
Good plug.
He managed 3 key passes and 2.6 per 90 for the season, so he's slightly up on his average, which is only just behind Messi and Marcelo in the whole of La Liga.
Really good numbers, man. Yeah.
So his creative numbers are right up there with the very best. And Alex Vidal also had his best performance since returning from a 3-year spell at Barcelona. He completed a dribble and made 4 key passes from his position at right wing back. But what does this mean in terms of the entire league, Chris? Because it's a topsy-turvy La Liga season.
It is, and I'm thoroughly enjoying the chaos, Doogie. This result sent Sevilla to the top of La Liga for the first time this late in the season. Odd way to phrase it, but we are on match day 13, 14
13 games
now?
in, yeah.
Since 2007. Ooh. Not even sure Sampaoli's Sevilla side matching the current feats of this one. Now, Barcelona and Atletico Madrid doing them a favour by playing out a draw. Diego Costa scoring in that game before Ousmane Dembele equalised in the 90th minute, which caused pandemonium. And I'm pretty happy for him because he's been getting flack.
He definitely has.
Left, right and centre in the press, hasn't he? Whether it's warranted or not, we'll let you decide. So Sevilla subsequently leapfrogged both. Deportivo Alaves also had the opportunity to go top of La Liga this weekend. What is happening? Alaves.
Pass the parcel. Anyone have a go. Just, get yourself in the mix. Everyone's dropping points. It's crazy.
It's endemic, isn't it, in the top 4. No one wants Champions League football. All desperate for Europa this season in Spain. However, Deportivo Alaves fell 1-0 to relegation-threatened Leganes. So,
just as you
game
think
of snakes and ladders in Spain.
Just
What's
as you think they can make
Spanish?
a move. Snacados.
Oh my gosh, that's better than I could have hoped for. Anyway, the current points total of 26 for the league leaders is the lowest for a table topper after 13 games since Deportivo La Coruña in the 2001-2 season. Also, that was the last time Real Madrid nor Barcelona finished inside the top 2.
And it could well happen.
Definitely for Real Madrid, because they're absolute toilet duck at the moment.
We might come on to them later.
Maybe. Have to get in. Their arse is handed to them by Eibar. Anyway, next week Barcelona face Villarreal. Always a tough tie. They won as well this week, whilst Atleti travel to high-flying Girona. Meanwhile, Sevilla face fellow title challengers Alaves. What a game that will be. And, I can't pronounce Alaves' stadium. Mendizorroza. Was that a good effort? Let me know in the comments below.
Muchos snacados.
So, just Snacado Central. So, will they be able to extend their tally at the top of the table? Let us know in the comments below. And could Sevilla, could they be the ones to displace Real Madrid and Barcelona? I actually think a few teams would do it. Anyway, moving on.
Right, our first loser of the week comes in from @Smitty Gunner's suggestion. He has put forward Bayern Munich. Why is that? Christopher?
Kovac is going to get Das Boot. That is pretty much that fat kid at Simpsons, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's my reference. No, not Ralph, the German one.
Gunther, who loves chocolate.
He loves his chocolate. Anyway, let's get into the game because this result wasn't so sweet for Bayern Munich. They drew 3-3 with Fortuna Düsseldorf. Now, twice Bayern Munich held 2-goal advantages in this game. The first inside 20 minutes, Asula and Muller gave them a 2-0 lead before Dodi Lukbakio, who is actually a candidate for our start of the week, but we'll discuss him a little bit in this game, so we shifted him over. He got one back for Fortuna in what would turn out to be a memorable afternoon for the Watford loanee. Did not know he was on loan from the Hornets. Interesting bit of information there. Yeah. Now, Thomas Muller scored again on the hour mark.
Beautiful goal,
for his first brace in the Bundesliga since January, restoring a 2-goal lead, and his output has been poor, has been brought into question. So, answering some of his critics here, but
100%.
Ultimately, 1 point. What were they, 7 behind Dortmund going into this?
No, 9.
No, 9 now.
9 now.
Yeah, 9 now. Going into it. Listen to what I said, dude. Crying out loud.
I said now 9.
Now 9. 9! Anyway. Yes, but Belgian under-21 international Lukbakio again found the net in the 77th and 92nd to complete his first professional hat-trick. Get in there,
big up,
the big man. Now, this is the first hat-trick scored by a player away at Bayern since 2001.
Wow.
That's crazy, isn't it? And only the 6th Bundesliga hat-trick in history at the Allianz for an away player.
There we go.
Articulated expertly there by me. So, moving on to your section.
Yeah, well, it was a pretty disastrous afternoon for Bayern Munich. I watched the highlights of it this morning. Niklas Süle and Jerome Boateng, again, not very solid at the back. Jerome Boateng making all sorts of errors. But Bayern, they actually dominated the game statistically, but it's just so many errors at the back. They had 78% possession, they had 17 shots, 9 corners, and a 90% pass completion rate. 4 players made over 100 passes, but they conceded 3 goals in such a sloppy way. Particularly, I think it was the second one from Lukbakio. Jerome Boateng tried to play him onside, and he was miles on. Tried to play him offside. Sorry, he was miles onside. Just so poor, so sloppy. They're very open at the back, as I've just said. They've 13 of the last 17 shots on target have resulted in goals. Bayern have actually faced the least shots in the league with 7.9 per 90, but Neuer has made just 14 saves all season. 14. That's Wayne Hennessy numbers, although he did have a very good game against Man United.
Hennessy.
The next lowest by a goalkeeper who's played every minute is RB Leipzig's Peter Gulaxi with 32. So he's, underperforming massively, Manuel Neuer. What is going on? Or maybe it's a bit of a World Cup hangover. Who knows? As for their attack, 17.5 shots per game in the Bundesliga is the highest, and they also rank third for dribbles per 90 with 9. So it seems like there's an issue with not converting chances and being sloppy at the back. And if you want a more in-depth look at Bayern Munich's issues, it's time for a podcast plug. Chris, Joe, and Pato said took on how to solve a problem like Bayern Munich in the podcast, which went out on Sunday. Go give it a listen if you haven't yet. I haven't yet, but I'm sure it'll be another informative episode.
Oh, thanks, mate. Really appreciate that.
No worries.
What's your favourite episode been so far?
I think it was the how to convert teams into European champions.
Correct answer was all of them.
There we go.
Doogie. So this week we're going to do how to keep your team from relegation. But just to revisit, Bayern, the overriding theme of this season and the podcast is that Kovac has been somewhat unlucky. There's been a fair few players that have voiced their discontent at his rotation policies. James Rodriguez, now injured until the end of the season. They could really use his creativity in midfield, either in attacking midfield or on the right-hand side. Koeman is, of course, injured as well. So not getting the rub of the green. Expected points before this match had them on around 25, 26, and Dortmund on around 19, 20. So effectively that would lead them to swapping places, not conceding an awful lot of shots and having the most shots actually in the league as well. So Kovac must be pulling his hair out because
it's not all doom and gloom.
Tactically, they do seem quite sound, but I think they've left it too late in terms of overhauling that squad, and that's what we take on in the podcast, who they need to bring in. The average age is around 28.
That's not good.
Dortmund's is around 24, 25. And I think
now
RB
9
Leipzig's is 25, 26.
Yeah, and now 9 points behind Dortmund. That is going to take a monumental effort
Yeah.
to turn that over.
And you know, in last week's loss against Dortmund, 8 of the starting 11 faced Dortmund in the Champions League final in 2013.
Wow.
That's how little they've really had to overturn the squad, and it's caught up with them. Robin, 33, Ribéry, 35.
35.
It's
and too many basic errors at the back. Jerome Boateng not playing well enough. Hummels, Nicolas Sula
and
again.
you can't legislate for that, can you?
No.
These individual errors that have been leading to goals.
Yeah.
But guys, what do you think is wrong with Bayern Munich? Will they still clinch the league title, or is it beyond them now?
Is it
now
gone?
It's 9 points.
I think it's gone.
You think it's gone?
I think it's gone.
Don't know. Part of me still thinks Dortmund will absolutely bottle it. That is a very young team. The back line is very inexperienced. I think Nicolas Sula has 150 Bundesliga appearances by himself. The whole of Dortmund's back line has around 450. And I think they've got to stop overperforming at some point, and it will be a lot closer than 9.
We'll see.
I actually still think Bayern are going to win it.
Oh, there we go.
I prefer Dortmund.
Who do you agree with, Chris or me? Vote in the poll above.
Our final winner comes from @Meath98, and he suggested Udinese. Bit of a left field shout, but they beat Roma, so deserve their place in our winners.
Yes, vital 3 points for them, lifting them out of the relegation zone. They're now 16th, and it leaves Roma in 7th, level on points with Sassuolo. So it's not been a good year so far for the Romans at all, although they are doing well in the Champions League. But this game was a 1-0 win for Udinese, secured by a 54th minute goal from Rodrigo de Paul. That's his 6th of the season, and he also has 3 assists in 13 games. And only 6 players have been involved in more goals in Serie A this year than Rodrigo de Paul. And when you're playing for a team that's struggling, that's pretty impressive. So shout out to him. But it wasn't all easy. David Nicolo's men did have to ride their luck at times. They conceded 26 shots, 9 of which were on target. Testing Roma's Morante. Robin Olsen was injured for this game. He's got a muscular injury. But they only got 2 on target. So Morante didn't have too much to do. They were quite inefficient. But this is almost twice the amount of shots Udinese concede on average per game, 15.4, and 12 more shots than Roma normally fire at the other end. So it's a slightly strange game. They were both going away from their form in many ways. Star of the show for the home side was, unsurprisingly, their 24-year-old Argentine goalkeeper Juan Musso. He made 9 saves. That's crazy. Collecting 5 and only parrying 2, so a safe pair of hands too. It was only his 4th appearance of the season. He was in for Simone Scuffi, who dropped to the bench and was only Udinese's 3rd domestic clean sheet of the year. So you can sort of see where the issues are for them. But Chris, what's going on with Roma? You know, Champions League semi-finalists last year, awful start to the year, at least domestically this year.
Yes, mate, Roma continue to falter, having only won 2 of their last 6 games, having shipped as many goals this term as 14th place Cagliari on 16. Now, in fact, they are conceding as many shots per game at current as 18th place Bologna on 15.4 per game. This Roma side had the 2nd best defence in Serie A last season. What is going on
and
with
reached the
Eusebio Di
Champions League
Francesco's
semi-final.
men? I know, absolutely unfathomable. Anyway, the front 4 were extremely inefficient as well at the other end, and that kind of, you know, when you marry that together, it's kind of the
Recipe
perfect
for
storm at the
disaster,
moment. Yeah, the recipe for disaster, mate. I like it. With substitute Edin Dzeko taking more shots inside the box than Schick, Kluivert and Pellegrini combined, despite only coming on in the 71st minute.
Power 19.
Yeah, I think it was 4 shots inside the box, and I think Schick only managed 3, Pellegrini, most of his shots outside the box. So in terms of shot location, without Edin Dzeko, you know, who's what, 32 now?
Still bossing,
33. They struggle up front, so might need to invest in a powerful number 9 or look to replacing him in the long term.
People are sniffing around Cengiz Under as well. I remember from transfer talk a few weeks ago. So.
But they're quite well stocked on the wings, aren't they?
El Shaarawy's still kicking around as well.
El Shaarawy started in this game. 4 key passes.
Did he? Nice.
Not bad from him. Anyway, 23-year-old ex-Atalanta central midfielder Brian Cristante still had a very productive game for the Giallo Rossi in this 94 dribbles, 6 aerial duels won, 3 tackles and 1 key pass completed, which is pretty good.
Lovely
considering he was the more reserved of the central midfielders. However, he was matched by the 33-year-old incandescent Valron Behrami of ex-West Ham fame. I know, he's 33 now, 10 years older
Mohawk
than Cristante, but he put in a massive performance, 6 tackles alone there
Love it, Valon.
in the centre of midfield, and he's always muddied up the game well, hasn't he? Good match intelligence. The Swiss Scott Brown, you might say.
Yeah.
Probably, you know, the best
Quite tactically versatile as
analogy
well. He used to
I
play
could
right
provide.
back as well for West Ham as well.
He
All
did,
over
yeah.
the shop.
And his experience is vital to this midfield, actually, because in that 5, there's 2 21-year-olds and 2 23-year-olds.
Nice.
So he is the senior player.
Valon Barami, the leader.
In pretty convincing fashion, yeah. It gets no easier for Eusebio Di Francesco's men over the next 2 weeks either, with Real Madrid at home in the Champions League and Inter Milan also visiting the Stadio Olimpico. Udinese have a slightly easier task in taking on Sassuolo at home. However, Sassuolo, like you said, level on points with Roma, so could be a sort of similar task.
Another weird year
based on form. Now, I mean, Juventus are pulling away, aren't they? Napoli drew at the weekend, but who do you think is going to miss out on Champions League football, guys, in Serie A? Because Roma, for all their exploits in Europe,
Not looking good.
not looking great, is it? Let us know in the comments below.
Right, our second and final loser was Real Madrid at the suggestion of @FootballRob. Not a good weekend for the white side of Madrid, Christopher.
No, they've come crashing back down to earth, the Ugelberry, after an initial revival under Santiago Solari. Now, first came the Football League story about Sergio Ramos,
Not
which
good.
the club has had to deal with, alleging that he failed a drugs test pre-UCL final in 2017.
The Juventus
Now, we've
game.
done a little bit more digging, haven't we? And it supposedly involves an anti-inflammatory drug, which is okay
Correct.
to take should you inform the prerequisite bodies. Now, they weren't informed, so this appears to be more administrative than anything
Than
else,
outright
right?
cheating, yes, I
Yeah,
think that's what we've-
exactly. But no doubt, Temps will still sensationalise the title and clickbait the shit out of it. And if
Ramos
that's why
ruins
you're
Champions
here,
League.
then hola.
Welcome.
Senor. Or senorita. Anyway, back to the second part of the week, or moving on to the second part of the week, in fact, where they were battered by Eibar 3-0, leaving them further
Horrific
adrift
performance.
in La Liga's title race. Real now sits 6th, level on points with Girona, and have conceded 6 more goals on 19 than 17th place Villarreal. And they have been struggling, as
Big
you know,
time.
17th place would dictate. It was a deserved loss as well. Despite having 61% possession, Real just had 9 shots to Eibar's 14 and put 3 on target to Eibar's 9. Now, it doesn't surprise me that Eibar didn't ship chances in this game because defensively they've been brilliant all campaign. In fact, they're conceding the fewest shots on target and fewest shots in general on their goal in the
Really?
entirety of the league
Didn't know
with
that. Fair play.
8.8. And
Amazing.
they play a 4-4-2, they play nice and compact. The football's not the most expansive, but defensively they're really disciplined. And I'd be maybe looking to squeeze some defensive talent out of Eibar if they maintain this brilliant
There we
form.
go.
But it helps the defender's cause when the attack is being so inept. In this game, Real Madrid failed to have a shot on target after the 36th minute. That is absolutely awful.
So they pretty much went an hour.
Yeah, less than half their attempts came from inside the box, so low quality chances, reeked of desperation. Meanwhile, Eibar, our boys Eibar, kicking back, relaxing, not just putting up defensively resolute numbers, took 10 shots from inside Real's box.
On fire.
That is porous. That's more than Real's total attempts. But it's pretty hard to get shots off from inside the box when your forward line is offside almost permanently in this game. 11 times they were caught offside. Their average per game this season has been 4. Benzema was offside 8 times in this game alone.
Come on, Karim, just work harder, mate. Get back and then go.
What is he doing?
Useless.
Almost Morata-esque. You know Morata's been offside more times this season than Bournemouth.
I'm not surprised. That's
So there's a little random stat for you. Anyway, it's amazing that the Frenchman lasted the full 90 in this game. He managed just 1 shot on target and completed 1 of his 4 take-ons. So another poor showing from him. My God, this team needs some surgery, dude.
Yeah, big time, big time. One of the players they brought in this summer to be the long-term replacement for Danny Carvajal was Odriozola, the 22-year-old, but he had a shocker in this game. He got tangled up for the first, although Courtois then spilt it. His error then led to the second, although, Toni Kroos, what are you doing? Pinging a 40-yard looping ball down to your right back with oncoming pressure. And he started 6 times since arriving in the summer, and he's been subbed off before the 60-minute mark on 2 occasions, which is horrible for a Real Madrid manager that wants to make attacking substitutions in the last 30 minutes of the game, and they're wasting one of them on sorting out your right back. not ideal. And it was a truly terrible performance from Modric as well, which we're not used to saying this year. He's the Ballon d'Or favourite, but he completed just 27 passes in his 63 minutes on the field, less than half his average for the season. He made 0 tackles and interceptions, averaging 3.5 this year, so that was massively down as well. And we do have to give some credit to a player from Eibar though, Marc Cucurella, who's Eibar's left back. He's actually on loan from Barcelona, and he's been playing higher up the pitch in the last 2 games. He's actually been playing as a left winger, and he was deadly in this game. Showed real pace for the first goal, then created the third. Really nice stuff. He also made 3 tackles and interceptions, so he can work hard defensively as well. Could he be the long-term replacement for Jordi Alba at left back? Only time will tell, really. But the loss ends Solari's 4-game winning streak at the start of his Real Madrid tenure, so it's been a solid start for him. But this was his first game after his permanent contract goes through. And, you know, you really want to make a statement in your first game, and they got absolutely battered. I struggled to see him lasting past the summer, to be honest. I know it was a 3-year deal, but if there's a quite higher quality of manager.
They're always 3-year deals, aren't they?
Exactly. But surely go balls in for Pochettino this summer. Finally sort out this Real Madrid mess, but all they need to do this year, I think, is just aim for Champions League football. The title's gone. They're not even going to finish second now. Get into the Champions League, regroup over the summer, and go again. Because frankly, performances like this, it's truly shocking from Real Madrid. You're comfortably in our losers. Right, it's time for Star of the Week. Yes, it's Florian Thauvin, at the suggestion of @Fist1488. Florian Thauvin, Christopher.
Active intro. Yeah, he scored a hat-trick as Marseille beat Amiens 3-1 away from home to boost them up to 5th, just 2 points behind second place Lyon. Now, the league is gone. C'est fini.
He's dead.
Done.
It's stopped.
Morti.
Stop it, it's already dead.
Morti, I think, is dead. Anyway, yeah, PSG 47 points. So, trolling the league, aren't they? But Marseille, it's become a battle for Champions League football, and victories like this keep them in the race. Now, Thauvin has got 10 goals and 2 assists to his name in 13 Ligue 1 games this campaign.
Lovely.
Only Emiliano, Salah and Mbappe have scored more in Ligue 1. It means he's now scored 10 or more goals in 3 consecutive seasons. So really found form after returning from Newcastle, hasn't he? He's playing on the right in a 3-4-3 and caused absolute havoc. 3 tackles and interceptions as well, so not shy of doing the defensive work. 2 aerial duels won, 2 key passes, 8 shots.
8.
5 on target as well. So not just, peppering the goal for, not padding stats here, and 3 goals. Getting shots in great areas as well. 6 were from inside the box, 2 from inside the 6-yard area. So they just couldn't live with this guy on the night.
Yeah, 100%. And it continues Marseille's slightly strange starts to the year. Only PSG have scored more than their 27 league goals, but they've conceded 22, with only 3 sides conceding more. And they've sort of battered the teams below them, but really struggled with the teams above them. They've lost 5 games, with 4 of those losses to Lyon, Lille, Montpellier and PSG, who are the 4 teams above them. In those 4 games, they've scored 2 and conceded 12. So they're having some issues in the big games. And if they're to get anything out of this season or to secure Champions League football, they're definitely going to need Thauvin to keep on firing. He's averaging 3.2 shots per game. Only 6 players in the league are averaging more. So the creativity tends to come from Payet. The shot numbers tend to come from Thauvin, because they're still led up front by Kostas Mitroglou, who's averaging 1.9 shots per game. And everyone else was below 1.5. So there's a big, output pressure on Florian Thauvin. But surely he's got to be in for a shout with a summer move. We said it last summer, but no one's really going for it. 3 years of 10+ goals. He's got 10+ goals this year, and it's not even December. Remarkable form. How do you guys think Marseille will do for the rest of the year? And should Thauvin get a move? And if so, to who? Let us know in the comments below.
So that's European roundup for another week, Doug. What can the fine people at home do now?
Well, go over to Football Daily and watch Winners and Losers, where we give you the roundup of all the Premier League action and look at the Copa Libertadores disaster that happened this weekend. And why don't you stay on Football Daily and go check out all the Stat Wars, the leagues. We've really enjoyed it so far.
Watch them again.
Watch them all, because the competition's hotting up. See ya.